I'm Raina Deerwater. I'm the Entertainment Research and Analysis Manager at GLAAD, also a brand new member of GALECA, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics. And on behalf of both those groups, super excited to host this conversation with the team behind the upcoming very funny, very gay film Bottoms.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thanks for being here. And just want to say the film was so good and so funny. As like a former teen who was also like gay and horny and dumb, it really spoke to me. So thanks so much. And just to get into it, there's sometimes this misconception in like these conversations about like good representation and that it means like good people, and that's not the case. And I love that you presented some characters who were like kind of assholes at times. How was it? What was the process of like creating these characters who could be unlikable?
I think that Rachel and I are just like such brilliant comedians, and like we wrote the characters based off the references in the movies that we wanted to watch, and I think that like when you're setting up a ploy to have sex with people and you're lying, that will inherently make these characters flawed and shitty. And I don't think we thought too hard about it. We just wanted them to like be real and messy and horny, and therefore, especially when you're a teenager and you're hormonal and you know what I mean? Like you just are selfish. Like that just kind of happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you're just not fully like, your brain isn't developed.
Yeah.
Like making decisions where you're like, I should do that. And then after you're like, wait, why did I do that? But in the moment, it doesn't, you can't slow down and think. So we were like, we don't want a movie where it's like, hold on, is this the right thing to do? Like to just letting them like feel and kind of roll with their instincts.
I think also to that point, just about like representation, I feel like so much when it's like a concept, it's like, well, this woman is queer and this woman is queer and black. So in order to do that, they must only be able to do X, Y, Z. And it's like, it's just not.
And they're doctors.
And they're doctors and they're saving life.
Yeah.
No, but it's like, it's just not true. It's like, you think about all the characters in cinema that I'm sure we all have who are flawed and create, like nobody is like doing the like I don't know, the math on like if Michael Corleone, you know what I mean? Like like in terms of like Italian X representation, like it's like he's just a character and you can empathize. And I feel like Emma and Rachel are so good at just trusting audiences' intelligences and emotional intelligences as well in that regard.
I think also when you make like the whole box queer, you can have so much more fun, and there isn't as much pressure on like one perfect character. You're just like, this one's nice, this one's selfish, this one's like really weird. Like you just get to like play around and it makes everything feel a little looser too.
Yeah. And I feel like also having all the actors in, then everyone's playing off of each other and it doesn't become a question of like who's good and bad. It's like, what are the dynamics of this?
It's these human beings and these like people doing funny performances. And new people.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love that like you get so many different types of queer people and they all have like different levels of absurdity to them. And also on that note, I love that this film was like a capital C comedy. Like it was so funny, laughing out loud, and it like heightened to the point of pure absurdity, which is like so great to see. Like what draws each of you to that sort of like absurd kind of comedy in your work?
Want to go down?
Yeah. We all go. I feel like we just wanted to do something really like stupid and fun. Like I feel like all of us like love to laugh and have a good time, but I do feel like we both feel like we were feeling like there hasn't maybe been like comedies where you can just like go there with the jokes and just be like great. Like we just wanted to, when we were writing, we wanted to give ourselves like sort of no rules, where we were like, we want to blow up a car and then we want the girls to hit each other in the face and whatever. And then like when we were shooting, like I feel like I got to have so much fun like improvising with Ayo and being like, what now that we've set these rules in the world, like where do we want to go, and like balance back and forth. Roman's like, I agree.
The dog chiming in.
But like once you set those rules, you can go, you can bounce wherever.
We were talking about that too, but just like, you can always walk something back, you know what I mean? It's like, why you guys didn't want to limit yourselves, and I feel like then that transferred to set, like before it's even started. It's like, let's just see where it goes and then we can adjust from there.
Yeah.
I think both their sensibilities as comedians is also just very absurd. Like they just have absurd senses of humor and do go there with the jokes in their own ways. And I think that like in writing it with those two, writing it with Rachel and writing it with Ayo in mind, like that just made the most sense. And then I think also in terms of like our favorite teen movies, like we just really wanted to call back to like our favorite 90s, like total campy and absurd heightened comedies like Wet Hot American Summer and Not Another Teen Movie and Sugar and Spice and, you know, Deb, Saved, But I'm a Cheerleader, etc. So there's just like a whole world of those movies that like were so beloved and are cult classics, and I think we just missed that a little bit as well.
And I like Unafraid, I feel like all of those titles, you think about them and they're just like so fearless.
Yeah.
Lots of people like, just like those titles, we are fearless. But yeah, but yeah, I agree with everything that was said. Literally
Great, yeah.
back
I
down.
love that, and I love that sort of like return to these campy classics, because there's been a little bit of a dip in that, and then just coming right out there with the jokes and the absurdity. And there's also like, even still, like you somehow capture that a very specific like gay experience of being like that combination of lonely and horny in high school. And like, how do you sort of go about like, even amidst like the silliest things happening, like having that genuine emotion shine through in both sort of the directing and for Emma and the portrayals for Rachel and Ayo?
I think that tone is always like very, very hard to navigate in a comedy, in a movie in general, but in a comedy like this. And I think that was the main thing that like we kept on getting notes on, was like ground the friendship, like, you know, ground these characters, like why are they awkward, why do they, you know, why are they, I don't know, so shitty, like etc. But I think that it you know, it just is great that Rachel and Ayo both happen to be very talented actors on top of being hilarious, and so it just kind of, you just believed in your characters. And I think the funniest comedies have actors that like play the performances straight and like buy and believe everything their characters are saying, and that makes for the most sort of funny performances when it comes to how absurd the dialogue is. But it also means that when you care about when you're having an emotional moment, you deeply care about the characters, because the actors have been giving it their all the whole time. They haven't been like playing it and hamming it up. That's sort of like,
but no, it's like, even it's like you think about like, I don't know, Anchorman or like Zoolander. It's like Ron Burgundy is living Ron Burgundy's life.
Yes.
Like Will Ferrell believes that the stakes have never been
Yes.
higher than this local news station. Like Ben Stiller is like, I am a male model with like blue steel, and like this is like, my life is like devastating right now. Like a lot of that, I think here just happened in prep, like when we were just going through the script, at least for like we would just sit down and go through it. It was like, where is Josie at, where is PJ at, where is their friendship at, like just what headspaces are they in right now, because I think Rachel and I as comedians, and I guess like as actors, it's like we can always sell a joke, like we'll know a joke when we see it and how to deliver it, but you were just like, what is like the truth of these two teens who are like in a mess right now, like where are they at, like how, just keep track of that as long as you know that, and like just try to follow that north as much as possible. Literally my crazy dog during the press conference.
Your dog has thoughts about the characterization.
Well, he was my acting coach, and it's like really,
he was on set. He was on set.
He has a lot to say.
But I totally agree. It's like you alternate between being like, it's two teens in crisis, and then being like the like this, but then the way it comes out is being like the most insane ways of like, it's gonna be us punching each other with Stella Rebecca, like should we go like that? But I think it's like you like layer it all on top.
Amazing. And then what was like the casting process like for you two as the leads, but also in terms of like rounding out the ensemble, because it seems like even the smallest characters get like a moment to shine, and just like, what was that process like of like finding actors for these very specific roles?
We had an incredible casting director, Laura Rosenthal and Mary Beth Fox, and they just really believed that every actor needed to be singular.
They said that we learned the word singular.
And we say it now all the time. We've stolen it.
So singular. We were like, yeah, we're gonna say that a lot.
They really looked at the ensemble and were like, everyone needs to like be their own thing. They can't just like play the character. They need to like bring their own weirdness and uniqueness and singularity to the world and like fill out how weird this world is. And it really is such a sort of like a puzzle of chemistry where you're like, okay, so we've added Havana now, you know, who like when we saw her tape, we were like, oh my God, that's Isabel. Like talk about like believing your character. Like she walked in being like, like she says some of her lines so she says all of them so dead, like so straight, so like she believes everything Isabel believes and is saying. Same thing for Kaya.
I was just gonna say also their chemistry. Like yours with Havana was like,
it was like disarming. Like she truly, I was like stuttering. And after we recently talked about it, because she was like, I thought you were trying to throw me off like by doing improv. And I was like, I was genuinely disarmed. Like I forgot the lines that I had said 10 times in a row because she wasn't just playing her like a popular girl, or she wasn't just like, oh, I understand the device that Isabel is in this movie. She was like, no, she's like a human being. She's a human being. And
I understand why she's the most popular girl at the school, because you talk to her and you're literally like,
I guess I'm in love.
Exactly.
That was the read it was like you feel that in the room, and same with Kaya too. Where it's like Ruby and like everyone brings their own thing.
Oh my God, Miles.
Oh my God.
Miles' tape is literally like he's an I Am Legend.
He was so committed.
He came from like doing a medical drama, like a serial before this, and like he was like, I just decided to bring that to the audition. Like, I don't know if it worked, and we were like, this is everything.
Perfect. You're a genius.
No, he was so intense. Or like literally Passion of the Christ. He is so he's And
I think that once we did that with the main cast and also with Nick, like talk about someone having to like really drop in and be like, I believe my ridiculous character. He had the hardest challenge. Like I feel like in terms of that sort of specific thing of being like, I get what I want, and when I don't, I'm mad, and I will play that. You know what I mean? Like that is my truth in this scene. And he did that so well. But I think that allowed us then to go like even include like with like our other characters, like with Summer who plays Sylvie and Virginia who plays Stella. Like they saw what we were creating, and we saw something in them that we could like add to the mix. And you know, it became like a beautiful Zamani. Plays Annie, so straight, like so. I keep saying straight, but like so.
I know I said straight man earlier, and I was like, ooh.
No pun intended.
No,
I mean,
no, but yes. But yes.
So that.
Great. So what I'm getting is you guys love the word straight.
Sorry.
If there's, speaking of the cast, if you, this is a silly one. If you could like take like sort of this set of actors that you've worked with and grown close with and like put them in any other movie, what would you like want to see them do?
Ooh, I want to see them all in a drama. Like I now want to see them do like, I want to see Marshawn do drama for sure.
I feel like if it was like something like a Wes Anderson movie or like a Charlie Cloth movie, like something where we all just have like really bizarre assigned roles, and then we just get to like interact. Like still definitely it is like a drama, but just something where it's like, why is Marshawn like a doctor on a spaceship? And like maybe half of this is a dream, and it's also like
he has like a pet crocodile wearing a hat.
You understand?
We're all in a giant spaceship, or maybe a cruise, but it's like not a regular cruise.
It's like a play. It's like okay, Charlie Kaufman and Wes Anderson, suddenly they're friends. Charlie Kaufman wrote the script, Wes Anderson's directing it, and it's like a play on like a Poirot murder mystery. We're all like on a cruise. But it's also
and
like
someone cries really hard.
I was gonna say Marshawn. He plays like an old actor, like an aging like you know how like in the 70s like football players would become actors a lot, and now I guess it's happening again. But then he's like one of those, but he like can't stop crying after his last
Tate.
Yeah.
last movie that he just wrapped.
He's got like wrestler energy in him.
Yes.
Like a
Yeah. Wait, Nada's writing a movie.
I'm like, hold on.
This is actually
We've got to
good.
step off. I
We
mean,
only have one character, by the way.
but it's
Good.
really
Thanks, everybody.
No, I'm listen.
Money to make.
I'm buying a ticket. It's sounds
In
incredible.
theaters tomorrow. So.
Oh my God.
come out. Yeah.
Watching. Can't believe we got Wes and Charlie so fast. Okay. I'm gonna
Most
go
famous
to
people
Selma.
are actually really free. People don't
They're
realize.
Yeah, I mean, Wes
Nobody's
just had a
asking
movie.
to-
What's he
yeah.
doing now?
People are afraid to approach them. They're free.
I'm gonna go to some audience questions now. This one comes from Glenn Garner, great alliterative name, from The Messenger, who said, "I love the Motorola Razor and the Juicy shirt. Was the movie set during a specific year, or was it more a time capsule of growing up in the aughts?"
It wasn't set in a specific year, and I feel like we tried to avoid technology where we could and where we had to sort of, ground like us in with things. We just kind of would make a game time decision and be like, all right, it's going to be a razor, and sort of in a phone book. I think with the Juicy, I think the early aughts and like, just like the Y2K movies, like just kind of came through naturally, and we didn't want it to like. We don't want to ham it up and be like, this is like, we got Juicy and we got, like Von Dutch, and, we didn't want it to like be painted in this world. But I think that naturally, because we grew up in that time, like it filtered through.
I agree.
And I agree.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic of that. I also love that line that Rachel, you have early in the film that's like, "I love all the holes in your pants." Just really stuck with me as like such an aughts fashion moment. The next one comes from Terry Mesnard of Gaily Dreadful and Scarred podcast. Charlie XCX provided music for the movie, and I clocked King Princess during the fight montage. Was it intentional to have a queer and queer-friendly musicians to create the soundscape?
Yeah, I think so, because I think some of our like favorite movies that were references had like really killer soundtracks and iconic soundtracks that we all remember, and so we wanted something that reflected the times that we're in now. I think that like the music industry is like so far ahead of like film when it comes to like queer representation, like young Gen Z queer representation, and so I'm most motivated when it comes to thinking about our audience by like the huge followings that like King Princess and all these artists have. And so I think it was our dream to like have queer and like queer icons of this era like Charlie in the movie.
And people that we love, like
yes,
music
and
that
also
we listened to when we were writing it. Like it's like I feel like I saw so many people. I mean, there was literally like a screening where people started cheering "One Party for You." Like people love, you know what I mean? Where it's like getting to like both have those iconic songs, and then also like Charlie's voice and sound is so unique, and like you recognize it, and it's like she's creating this like sound for the world. That's so cool. So I feel like that was really special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do feel like there's something like something about a Charlie needle drop that hits different. It really does.
Yeah.
Next one comes from Joe at Guy at the Movies. Emma, the humor never stops in this film, whether dialogue between the characters or something happening in the background. How much of what we see wasn't scripted?
Well, in terms of what's happening in the background, that I feel like was our most scripted and pre-planned, because we were like, what's happening on the
Printing weird little posters.
And like the guy in the cage, etc. I'm so bad with the estimations, but I feel like what ended up on screen, I feel like 40% was like improvised or ad-libbed with these two. I want to say
there was
a lot, or maybe more.
My
you're
favorite.
looking at me like,
I can't remember.
I'm kind of shocked if it's that much, but I'm also bad at estimation.
But I can't tell because there's also stuff where it's like not a full. Okay, like there's my favorite improv is, I've said this before, but the Hezekiah monologue in the car, the whole thing is improvised and it's so funny, and I'm literally laughing in the tape.
Wow.
Whatever, we kept it because it was worth it. But then there's little improv things of like I feel like the way Havana reacts to something, or the way Kaya reacts to something. So it's kind of, I think it's
not all improv. I think there's like this conception that when somebody says improv or ad-libbing, that it's words, but not all improv is that. Like a lot of it is just moments between us or things that you found that we were doing. And you're like, oh, dig into this, do this more, try this a little quieter, and then it just sort of like builds together. But also a lot of it too, it's like you find like you do takes and you're doing improv, and then you're improvising your way back to basically what the script is. Like it's like it finds this interesting way of just like you're never trying to actually move too far away from what's happening and what's going to happen.
100%. And I feel like we didn't really get that much rehearsal time, and we didn't really do rehearsal, but I feel like in the moments where the few rehearsals that we had, and then I think in conversations, like in terms of tracking the character or whatever, things would come up that weren't really scripted, but we'd be like, okay, let's plan on this, you know, like feeling free to tell that story, or you feeling free to go off about this specific thing, but it was always controlled.
So we have no idea about the percentage.
Yeah.
That was no, as soon as I start thinking about numbers, I can't. But
some things can't be quantified.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Numbers. Numbers mean nothing.
Okay, we only have time for one last question.
Talk for a long time.
We really talk.
One last question.
Q&A.
This comes from Jim Farmer at Georgia Voice, and it's, can you talk about the importance of having such an unapologetically queer, politically incorrect film such as this one come out in theaters?
It feels important. I think that like you said something like this at South by Southwest, where it's like being stupid is a political act. And I think that like in creating like queer audiences deserve like stupid movies. We deserve to like watch a movie and not feel so heady about it, and not be like, what does this mean? And what does this say about like queerness and where we're at? Like we like true representation. Part of it is like making stuff that's totally wild and free and free from meaning and like deep analysis. And
it's all there. It's also like, I look at this poster, it's like, I'm Black, Havana's Asian, Marshawn and Miles are there. Like this is like a movie where it's like we're just all allowed to be funny regardless of like race or sexuality or gender identity, but also it's like duh, like that's all true, you know, like it's all true and it's all real and it's all beautiful. But
And it's just like not letting that seep in. It actually feels like
not being like,
what are they gonna think if they play this in like Texas or something? It's like, who cares?
They're gonna laugh.
Yeah, it's funny.
And it's like so much, I think, time when you're marginalized is spent just like considering your own identity or thinking how people are gonna react to you. Like it's like we know how to do that math with our eyes closed, but holding our breath. Like we know how to do that. We also know how to make people laugh, how to make people feel. So why don't we just try to do
that and not thinking about the others?
All that it's there.
I love that. And I love the power of a dumb movie. We need more dumb movies.
We are trying. We're
doing an amazing job. And I mean that as such a compliment. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to speak with everyone here. Bottoms will open in theaters August 25th. We'll see you there. Can't wait for everyone to see this film. And thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.